You know, there's a phrase the left invented under human rights ideology. We have to accommodate people. Reasonable accommodation. It meant you had to accept someone different than you, even if it caused you some hardship at your business. For example, you had to be reasonable to accommodate some difference, like if someone's Sabbath was on a Friday or a Saturday, you should schedule them off on that day, but they can work on a Sunday. That's what they mean. It was a tolerance thing. I think most people are on side with it. It's a liberal thing. But here's Catherine McKenna, mercifully no longer a cabinet minister, talking about reasonable accommodation for unvaccinated people who, by the way, there's plenty of good reasons to be unvaccinated, medical reasons, religious reasons, reasons of conscience. And she says, pretty sure most Canadians want them to be unaccommodated. When did the Liberal Party, the party of the Charter of Rights, become this way? Not just that, but the whole anti-bullying thing, which is half the curriculum in schools these days. Don't be mean. Don't judge people who are fat. And fat shaming in the media. They put really fat people on the cover of Glamour magazines now. You can't say a word about transgender people, even if they're destroying women's and girls' sports for biological women. You can't say anything about anyone. No jokes even. Not even comedians can make jokes about things in jokes. No bullying, tolerate everyone, everything. Certainly no picking on weak or vulnerable people. No sexism, no ageism, no white-splaining, no mansplaining. But then this torrent of official hate from Trudeau and McKenna. And for the first time in a long time, I remember that passage from the book 1984. Let me read it to you. They stopped the world in the novel for 2 minutes, the whole society, to rage, to express hatred for 2 minutes at the government-approved target. Let me read. The horrible thing about the 2 minutes hate was not that one was obliged to act a part, but that it was impossible to avoid joining in. Within 30 seconds, any pretense was always unnecessary. A hideous ecstasy of fear and vindictiveness, a desire to kill, to torture, to smash faces in with a sledgehammer, seemed to flow through the whole group of people like an electric current, turning one even against one's will into a grimacing, screaming lunatic. And yet the rage that one felt was an abstract, undirected emotion which could be switched from one object to another like the flame of a blow lamp. Just to remind you, they had some official enemy. One day it was East Asia, one day it was Eurasia, whichever country they were at war at. And the personification of the enemy was always Emmanuel Goldstein, some schemer always behind the setbacks in society to blame. So whatever was going wrong in society, I don't know, crops failed, corruption, I suppose even a natural disaster, but usually a government-made political disaster. It was always the fault of the scapegoat, in that case, Emmanuel Goldstein and the national enemy of the day. Because you had to feel anger about your life. It was so dark and dreary and sad and impoverished and uncomfortable. Everything about your life was miserable. Naturally, you felt feelings of anger and hate and grievance, and you definitely couldn't hate anything official. You couldn't hate the actual thing that caused the misery, certainly not the government, let alone Big Brother. So your hatred was encouraged as long as it was channeled and directed to Big Brother's enemy. Same thing happened in Orwell's Animal Farm, actually. When there was a setback, it was blamed on saboteurs and underminers, never on the pigs. Trudeau has been a total failure from the very beginning. So have the provincial premiers, by the way. So obviously have the public health officials who are just playing Simon Says, repeating whatever Anthony Fauci says, though what he says always changes. That's an excerpt from my daily show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.